it took me 9 months in retirement to beat these 5 things. And the first one you're gonna laugh at, but it's missing my paycheck. On the 15th and the 30th of the month for 30, 40 years, I was used to a steady paycheck. And the first couple times the 15th or the end of the month rolled around, I had this knot in my stomach. I chose to retire early at 59. I liked what I was doing. I was good at it. I was paid well. I liked the team, but I knew that there was a life outside of work, and I wanted to get a jump on that sooner while I still had my health, while still was in what I call the youth of my senior years. But I got to be candid. I really did miss when the paycheck rolled around. You do get a knot in your stomach, but that's why we plan. That's why we think of things ahead of time, and we measure twice and we cut once, because once we give up our job, it's for most of us going to be a one-way door, right? Once you're in your mid-50s, it can be hard to go back. So you want to be double sure, and I was double, triple, quadruple sure. I mean, sure that I had enough money. For goodness sakes, I'm a retired financial advisor, right? So, but even with that, even having helped guide other people through that transition, I really did miss that paycheck. I think it's perfectly normal. I'm now 9 or 10 months into retirement. I have gone over it, so it can be beaten, and I know you'll beat it when your time comes. The second one that it took me 9 months to beat is, after rushing around between work and family life and our personal life, I just felt like, my hair was always on fire. Maybe that's why I don't have any hair, but I always felt like, it was go, go, go. I was always rushed. And it took a while to decompress, to get rid of that rush, rush, rush feeling. Okay, the next one is somewhat related, and that was, even though now I had plenty of time to take care of my health, to take care of my fitness, I still felt like, oh, I should only be in the gym for 45 minutes. I want to take care of my health, but I don't want to waste time either. And I got to tell you, when I started settling in to retirement, it felt really good to know, what, I can take the time that I want to take to do this. If I want to add a new exercise to specifically in my weightlifting routine. So I have 3 things that I do. I do cardio one day, I do yoga the next day for stretching, and then I do strength training. And just having the freedom to do that, or if I wanted to, it's hard to do too much yoga. And so if I wanted to do, both running and then stretching, to take the time to do that. But it took me a while. I'm just now getting into the relaxed vibe and giving myself permission to spend more time on my fitness. Another thing, this would be item 3 or 4. Another thing that took me time to get used to is not feeling guilty for allowing myself to sleep a solid 8 hours. For probably 30 years of my life, with the exception of vacation or the weekend, very seldom did I get a solid 8 hours of sleep. It was usually 6 to 7 hours. I wanted to have enough sleep that I was healthy. But I can tell you, in my case, now I'm not a physician, but in my case, my blood pressure went down after I gave myself permission to regularly sleep in and to get 8 hours of sleep in, and also not set that alarm. That is a glorious thing, to wake up with an alarm, without an alarm. Okay, the next one is entering what I call my post-productivity years. I get to spend my time how I want to spend my time, and not feeling like I have to be productive 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Now, I think as humans, we're all wired to want to be productive, to give back to society, even in retirement. But I think one of the things that causes people to delay their retirement is they think that they need to have 40 hours a week of, it's important to retire to something. So what is that something that you're retiring to? And many of us are thinking that needs to be 40 hours a week. And that's a high hurdle to overcome. And at least in my case, and again, I'm a retired financial advisor in many of my clients' case, but you don't know until you do it yourself. What I saw was if people had something that they felt they were giving back to society, they were being quote unquote productive for 10 to 20 hours a week. That was enough. And from there, you've planted the seed. And from there, you wait and see what that plant is that grows. What are your passions? For instance, part of what I spend my productive time on is doing these videos. I feel like, if I can help one person that's thinking about retiring, if I can make that transition easier for them, if I can get you to think about when do you want to retire? Too many of us cruise through our late 50s and our early 60s on autopilot because here in the United States, it's just the assumption is you're going to retire at 65. But I urge you to think about, might it make sense for you to retire sooner while you still have your health to take full advantage of what I call the youth of your senior years? So getting back to my point about being productive 10 hours a week, if you can start there, and I think many of us can look and say, "Oh yeah, that would be easy. I have 10 hours of something that I'd be excited about doing." I think it's enough, and I think it plants the seed. Now, the other thing that there's 3 tough questions that frankly took me 8, 9 months to get comfortable answering. And the first question is, what's the most popular question that we ask new people when we're meeting them for the first time here in the United States? It's, "What do you do? What do you do for a living?" And so how do you answer that when you're retired? Right? I can share with you how I answer that. I say I used to be a financial advisor and now I'm retired and I really enjoy teaching, and I really enjoy traveling. So I transition it into what I enjoy doing. Another one is when people ask, "So how are you today?" Right? How'd your week go? What are you up to? Very commonly we might answer that with busy. I'm busy. Boy, am I busy. That's one of the most common answers here in the United States. And even though I wasn't busy, even though I had some more free time, it's hard to give up that image of ourselves as needing to be busy. So that's the other tough question. And then the third tough question is, and it's well intentioned, but a lot of people will say, "So what are you planning on doing today?" And you know what? There's a lot of days that I'm just relaxing. I'm gonna read a book. I'm gonna go for a hike with my wife. We're gonna take our daughter's Labrador for a walk, whatever it is. There's nothing big, necessarily that I'm doing, but I'm enjoying life. What am I gonna do today? I'm gonna enjoy the day. I'm gonna have a lot of fun today. I'm gonna take care of my health. So those are the things that took me 9 months to beat in retirement. I hope that this challenge is easier for you when your time comes. If you enjoyed this video, the YouTube algorithm says this is the next video of mine specifically for you that you should watch next. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.